Okay, so let us concentrate on step 2 and we'll concentrate on this page actually. So we finish step 1. When we come to the next step, that when we press on next, this is where we land. So let's concentrate on that. Let's create a new file in components, new file, and let's call this as about. So there will be things about you, as I said earlier, about.js, and here let's create our component. So import React from React, and right after this let's create our class called about, which extends React.component, and inside of this we'll obviously have the same method, that is, which is in the personal, that is the next method, because we have a step 3, right? So we're still in step 2. About is all about step 2. So obviously we'll have the button will go to the next one. We'll also have a previous step. So here we will have a previous step because we're in step 2. We'll have to go back. So let's create a method for that as well. It's called as back. So here in this I am going to use the event argument, and I'm going to prevent the default. I'm just going to copy paste this, and I will be passing the method, which is, let's go check it out in the main.js, that is previous step method, that will -1 and will decrement and go back to step 1. So that will be previous step. Let's just check the spelling if you are right. Okay, yeah, that is absolutely right. So that's the method I will be passing as props from that here, and I'll be sending the value. Now right after this I am going to call the render method and return some value. Now here obviously we will be returning all the personal information, so let's just copy this entire thing and make respective changes with it. I think that's good. Yeah. So copy this, and in the about page let's paste this, and we will be making some changes here. So we will be passing, so let's go to main.js once again and make changes in the show step method, where it will show us the about.js. So just before this I am going to return a different value actually. So here I am going to comment it out, that is Ctrl+Shift+K, or actually just remove it for now. Let's not have it, and back this closure. Okay, so let's return just let's not put it yet. Let's just return a tag saying this is from about and step 2. Let's save that. First let's export it. So export default about, and let's import it. Like we can actually close. Okay, so let's just, okay, so here let's import that. So import about component from about, and so in the step 2 right here, that is the show step method. So come to your show step method, and right after if return, that is here. So after this, after the return, create another if where this dot state, which is updated to 2 now, if it is equal to 2, then it will be returning us the about component. So we can check that out. Let's save it, and here I'm going to type John Doe. I'm going to click on next. So it says from about and step 2. So we are getting the component. Brilliant. Now let us go back to about.js And here we can now add our whatever we did in personal.js, copy the return method entire thing, just copy it and paste it back here, and we'll be making some changes to this in our about.js that will basically be to, firstly, let's start off with the form class name. How many columns? Let's have 14, and here let's make it a size of 5. Let's make this also the size of 5. Okay, so the next thing that we will be doing is changing the values. So let's just change the values. This is not first name. First thing will be, let's give the BTech course, and let's change this to the BTech course. B dot tech course, and any other change that is required. Okay, we don't need any other change. Okay, this needs to be changed though. That is course. This should be the same as the object name that we gave with C capital, and this is fine. Okay, so this can be changed to, the second one can be CGPA. So CGPA is a quite important thing wherever it is. So CGPA, and the handle change will also be changed to CGPA. Let's see what we gave. So it's all small, so small. Okay, so let's just copy this right here because we have 3 more, so that shall be right. No, let's copy from, yeah, let's just copy this from this div to this div right here, and we can paste it 2 more times. This is showing some error. Okay, these 2 brackets seem to be extra, so let's just remove that. Okay, there are no more errors. Okay, CGPA, okay, BTech course, CGPA is done. The next one shall be, what is the next one? PG course. Whatever the PG course that we want. So what have we put here? That is, this is fine. PG course. Change this to the right name, that is PG course. Okay, so if you're not able to see properly, I'm just going to give it some distance between each. So these are all separate labels. Now, okay, the value needs to be changed. That is your P dot G course. The next one shall be country. The last and final one is country. So that's perfect. Let's just change the name to country. Alright, so I think we've made all the changes that are required. So we have all our information. Okay, this is just, okay, this is all perfect. Now we need to, all the handle change also done, but we haven't called it as props. So inside your render, just get the handle change as props. So const handle change is equal to this dot props, and we will need two buttons. So the first button on click will go to this dot next, and actually the first button will be the previous, because that will, okay, so this dot back, that will go to this method right here. It will fire this method, and this method will send it as props to the method right here, that is the previous step, and it will just decrement by 1 and go back. Okay, so that is all done. Now this dot back and this dot next. Let's change this to previous, and action, back. Yeah, I think that's all done. This is perfect. Let's save this, and in our main.js, let's get the props, or else it won't work. So in our about, let us get the handle change prop. So this dot, I think you're finding it quite easy because we've done this before as well. So next step will be this dot next step method. We'll be sending all of them as props, and the last and the final one, that is previous step. So previous step is equal to this dot previous step. Save this and head over to a Google Chrome. We should see no errors, and let's put our name. Let's click on next. You must see all the values right here, that is the BTech course, CGPA. You can put all of them in a line if you want. You should also see the buttons, that is previous and the next button. And here I am going to add some values. Let's say CSE, CGPA. Let's not be very, let's just make it 8. And PG course I want to pursue probably would be, or the PG course that I've done. So I'm applying for a company, would, let us say, something as data science or something, and the country will be from United States, where I've done or where I want to study, whatever it can be. Now all this is done. So when I click on next, it'll go to step 3, but obviously we've not done anything in step 3. And let's go to developer tools and see if the values are being loaded. So let's just say F12 or inspect. You can head over to your components, and here when I say John, click on main actually. So John is there, Row is there as well. When I click on next, we should see all the values filling up right here. CSE just filled up, and our BTech course, our CGPA is also filled up to 8. Our PG course shall be data science, that is filled up as well, and it's showing us in the second step. So step has been updated, and the country is not done yet. So let's say India, that's also done. And I go to previous, the values are gone. Now what if I want to suddenly change my name? When I come next, the values are just gone. Now there is a way to tackle that, and I will show you how to do that. It's just simple. So in the forms we've seen earlier about the value tag, the value inside of an input. So let's just give the values to it. Now let's just bring name this side and go back to personal. I'll show you how that works. So in your input field, we are going to also give, after on change, there is also something called as value, where it will store the value and keep it at that. So that will be it's not okay. It's not BTech. This is first name, right? So last name. Okay, this is last name. Alright. So last name, and here we will be giving after on change. Getting confusing. Just going to give some space. So value in your input field should be changed right here to last name, and the input field here shall be changed. So that will be value is equal to first name. Now you must be wondering where this is coming from. Obviously this will be coming from our props. Now here we can change it to comma first name and last name. Save this, go back to your main.js, and obviously it won't work if we do not pass it as props. So in your personal, we will be passing it as props as last name is equal to this dot last name, and also forgot first name. So first name is equal to this dot first name. Save this. Now I'll show you what I was talking about. And here, let's give our first name that's John and Doe. And when you click on next, there's not really anything here now. When you go back, the value should still be there. But for some reason, it is not. Let's go see why it did not work. Okay, let's see why it isn't working. Okay, the handle changed, been passed as props, back to main.js, so it's been passed as props. Now these are the methods, right? So we are targeting first name and last name, the value needs to be stored, but sometimes you just won't know what the errors are. So there are no errors actually, it's just there are different types of errors. It's more of a logical error. So logical errors are hard to find, and runtime is even harder. Okay. Oh, okay. So we're accessing the object actually. This is not a method. We're accessing the state object. So obviously there's going to be a mistake. It's not able to find it. So it's going to be state dot first name. I really wish it gave it as an error because it would have been easier to detect. Anyways, it's good to know about errors. Let's reload and start again. And here I'm going to say John and Doe. I'll go to the next. I'll go previous, and it's still there. It's still there, but now it's overlapping for some reason. I'll show you why, because it is with the material CSS, and even in the documents it will show you what the problem is. So you need to give the class name of the label right here as in your personal.js component. Head over to your label of first name and give the class name as active. Give it as active, so this won't be a problem. So let's save that. I've already done it for last name, and to show you the difference I had done it. Now let's say John and Doe. Go back, it won't be a problem. So now I'll make some change. I'll say it's something else, so that won't be a problem. It gets updated. You see right here. Alright, so let's go make the changes here. So let's say CSE. Actually this won't get stored, so let's go do the same for about.js, and here let's just so here we'll have to get all the props. That will be B, E, course, then comes CGPA, and then comes PG course, then finally it is after PG course it's country. After this is done, let's go to our input and change our values. Here it will be BT course. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste it in all the input fields, and here it will be CGPA, and after this it will be for the PG course. In the input field, make the change. That would be to store the value even if we move away from it. This is all happening dynamically, so make a note of that. So this will be PG course, and last and final will be the country. The value will be country. Awesome. So that must solve all of our problems. Let's give John and Doe CSE 8. G course is something and India. Now if you head back, the value remains. Alright, we've done the same mistake. We have not even passed it as props because we have not brought it down here in the about. So let's make all the changes in your main.js. Here we will be getting all the values, that is pt course is equal to this dot state dot pt course. Then comes cgpa is equal to this dot state dot cgpa, and then comes pg course, that is this dot state dot pg course, and the final would be the country. You all pass it as props. Alright, that's done, and our form should be working perfectly fine now. Observe the console where in your components you can see the values, and the values change when you make some changes. Now my last name is Joe, or I'll make some mistake like that, right? And I won't remember. Now I'm going to say CSE, say 8, say CSE again, and India. All the values have been filled, right? Now, okay, so I'm going to go back. Value still there. I made a mistake. I'm going to change it. You can see it changing dynamically. Let's see next. Okay, so I have to change the active. So once this is done, we will head over to the step 3. It's just the class name active needs to be changed because the placeholder and the values are overlapping. So that is with the material CSS. It is in the documents, as I said earlier. So let's head over to about.js and change the label value right here, class name. You can copy this and paste it everywhere. Just paste it in the label, so be very careful about that. So pasting it inside of label of each. So is it done for all? Or it's not done for this. Let's save it. That should be good. Okay, so next we'll be heading over to, sorry about that. We'll be heading over to step 3, where we will be displaying all of our values. So we will call that as in our components create another file called your info.js. Here we will be importing React from React class your info extends React dot component, and the only thing we'll have now is the method that is going to the previous page, not because we don't have any more pages. If you want to create step 4, please go ahead and do that. Create another component, create another method which goes to the next step, that is the next method. We won't be doing that because we have only 3 steps. So I'm going to create the back. I'm just going to copy paste it from about. So let's copy paste it from about. That'll be back. So right here. Then we can render it. We'll get all the values as props. So in your about.js, go ahead and copy the entire thing. The after render the const this dot props. Copy and paste that here. We'll also be putting the first name and last name as we'll be passing it as props. You can copy paste that as well. Now once this is done, just before this, let's go back to main.js, and if it is in the step 3, so what's going to happen if it is in step 3? So this dot state dot step is equal to 3, and right here we will be returning the your info component. That will be your, okay, we haven't exported the your info component. Okay, So let's export that first. So export your info, default your info, and save this. You can import it here. Your info from your info. Alright, that's perfect. Now we will be getting the your info component into our third step. Right here, that will be your info, and here we'll be passing all the props all together. So what are all the props in the handle change? We are obviously not going to pass next step because there is no next step. So handle change will be passed. Previous step will be passed because there's a back method, the previous method. Then we have our first name and the last name that we are passing as props, because we're going to display all of these values because it's your info component. Then we're going to copy all of these and paste it right here, and you can save this now. Go to your info and it's all passed in. Let's go and create the return method, and inside of return we will be giving the first the root tag, and inside of this I am going to give a div. No, just before the div I'm going to give a h2 saying this is the information you have entered, and if you want to make changes you can. So if you have entered, so all of these concepts are quite important in UI and UX, that is front-end development. Obviously you have to create forms for big companies where people can enter their value whatever they want. So these are super important concepts, and it's quite makes sense to understand all of this. I'll give a class name as info. Not really necessary, but if you want to style it, I'm just going to style it right here. Before we do that, before we start styling it, I am going to put all the values all together. There is the first name, last name, and first name, which is basically equal to the props that we pass, that is first name, and I'm going to give it a space like next break line, so that will break a line. So we're going to do it a few times. This will be last name. It's better if you have some space, and this will be our v.tech rbtech, and this will be cgpa, and the last one, and this will be our pg, and the last and the final one will be content. Let's just change the value here, that is content. Okay, so the last name shall be last name. This will be PT course. This will be CGPA, and last and final, this is the PG course. Perfect. So after this we'll give a button that goes to the previous value, obviously. So just right outside the div, just copy the button, you go to your about and copy the previous button. Just go below and you can see the previous button right here. Copy this and paste it here. Once you've done that, you can save it and head over to Google Chrome. This will be John Doe Next. Computer science CGPA is 8. PG course will be data science, and the country will be India. Once this is done, let's head over to next, and you can see that this is the information you have entered. That his first name is John, last name is Doe, that BTech is CSE, CGPA is 8, the PG course you have done is data science, and the country is India. Now I'm just going to style it a bit because it doesn't look that great. So I'll head back, and right here I am going to give a style directly here. I'm not going to create another folder for this because that's just wouldn't make sense. Give two brackets. That this is how you style in React. This is how easy it is to style in React. So I'm going to style it and put equals to and two brackets, and all of them have to be in class. Padding. They have to be in camel case. There are no hyphens, and this has to be in quotes. So this is 3 rem, and right after this I want to give font weight. Now this is how you give font weight. There is no hyphen. Please note that. Don't make that mistake. Be quite careful. And there's a colon, and then there is the quotes. So I want it to be bolder. And before this, I need to put a comma for each of my styling. I'm going to put another comma, and this time I'm going to give a line height, because there needs to be some height, right? So line height of 4 rem. And the last and final one which I want to give would be the font size. I'm just going to increase the font size a bit to 30 pixels. So that's better. Okay, so we save that, and I'm going to give John, last name is Doe. I'm going to click on next. 8. So this is the information you have entered. First name is John, last name Doe, BTech, CSE. PC have some kind of a small warning. Handle change is assigned a value but never used in your obviously, because handle change is not necessary here, so you can remove that and save this. So yeah, that's about it. You can make more changes, you can put different values, try more stuff, put more fields, and try with different look at the UI. It's very nice. It goes up and down, and you can click on next. There are no errors. It has given us all the value. John Doe, CSE 8. You can go to your components, see the values. Now you say, okay, I didn't get 8 GPA, I got 8.2 GPA. You can go back, make the respective changes, click on next, and it's changed to 8.2 GPA. That's how cool it is. Now let's say if you're not done you've changed your mind and you want to go to a different country to do your masters. Let's say you want to go to the United States, so you can say United States, get some good education there, then it can be changed to United States. So that's about it. This is a very, very nice project and very nice way to learn React, and we will be hosting this obviously and putting it up on the server using